Hey YouTube, this is fsfazekas. We've got a how-to video for you today. We're going to be looking at putting a Talon grip onto the Ruger LC380 that I own. Because this is a gun that I carry, we're going to be using the rubber texture grip. Okay, so let's get started. First thing we need to do is actually field strip the gun. We'll make sure that it's unloaded and it's actually easier to work with just the frame. So for the LC380, which could also be the LC9, we're going to take the magazine out, and here's your nice little hollow point 380 ammunition. Set that off to the side, and then we're going to pull down the door that hides the takedown pin. I'll pull this back a little bit. And a lot of people say that you need to push this out with something. I've had pretty good luck. I probably won't now. I've had pretty good luck just getting the pin to fall out like that. Okay, now we'll take the slide off. And we'll just work with the frame. Okay. The next thing we want to do is to clean the grip area, the back strap, front strap of the frame. And considering that this is a gun that I carry frequently, it's just shoved into my back pocket. It's probably got grime and whatnot, oil and grease from my hands, lint from the denim of the jeans, and so we're going to clean that with rubbing alcohol. Now, Talon at talongungrips.com, they do provide 70% isopropyl alcohol pads. I actually have here a bottle of 91% isopropyl alcohol. This is what I use for cleaning. The reason that I use the 91% is actually another hobby of mine is large-scale model railroading, and in that hobby we frequently use isopropyl alcohol as a paint stripper. But you have to use the 91%. The 70% is not strong enough to strip the paint off those models. And also, if you think about it, if it's a 70% solution, the other 30% is water, and here we only have 9% water. So I guess we're getting more isopropyl alcohol. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and clean that. I'm going to set the grip off to the side, and what we'll do here is we'll kind of just dribble some isopropyl alcohol in there. I use a nylon toothbrush to do a little cleaning. One of the toughest things is that once you clean the area, of course, is that you don't then grip it later on while you're before you put the Talon grip on, as that would then again possibly transfer grease and oil back onto the grip from your hands. Okay, so I'm going to call that done. Now we need to get the grip completely dry. So I'm going to set the toothbrush aside, close my bottle of alcohol, and I'm going to use this microfiber cloth, which is actually clean. Those are permanent stains, and I'll use that to wipe off the frame. And again, I'm being very careful not to touch with my bare hands the area that has been cleaned. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Looks pretty dry. Now, the next step that we want to do is we want to do a test fit of the grip. And I think this time I'm going to try something a little different. It's just trying to figure out how to orient that. And I'm actually going to use some Scotch tape, okay, to temporarily tack the grip in place. Because what I want to do is I want to roll it all the way around and be able to trim it. And the last time I did trimming of a grip like this, it came out a little oversized. I'm going to hope that this Scotch tape holds. Yeah, sort of. Okay, I'm going to bring this all the way around. See what it looks like here. It's not bad. I got to admit, the frame for the LC380 is a little tricky because the grip area has some real definite contours. And I'm thinking that probably when we adhere to those contours and it snugs down, that this should line up okay. The other place you want to look at is on the back strap and see if it looks like this is going to center up. And it does look like it will center on the back. And then we have this much overlap. So I'm going to use a pair of scissors and try and just make a little notch here. A little cut there. And a little cut right down here at the end. Okay, so basically what I've done is I've made a small cut here and a small cut here. Now I'm going to take the grip off. Ooh, to peel the Scotch tape off there. I don't really want to touch it. Okay. See if we can see. Okay, on the back of the grip. Let's see. Not entirely certain where we cut it there, so I'm going to just eyeball this and hope that that works. You know, the instructions from Talon say that if you're going, if it wraps around, you want the wraparound portion to go under the leading edge of the grip. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get it to meet exactly, which of course it probably won't. And then I would prefer it if there's a little gap there, then at least you know, those edges aren't overlapped and there's no, you know, way to start peeling that back. So we're going to start with the left hand side of the frame, and what we're going to do is we're going to line up the contour here and parallel to the magazine well opening and get this Ruger emblem centered. Okay, I hope you can see that. So let's see what we've got here. Okay. Yep. Okay, no, I've got it too far up there. Get the scissors out of the way. Okay. This right here, right along there. Okay, so I'm trying to get this leading edge right here. The area around the magwell I think looks good. The Ruger emblem, okay, maybe needs to be a little over. That's a tough call. Okay, and you can see the contours there, how the grip is really contoured. So we'll go around the back. And on the back, I really want to be right in the center. Okay, I'm just kind of lightly pressing this down at the moment. Okay, I've got to figure out how we go about getting the Ruger. There we go. That's centered. That's good. That's encouraging. We're centered on this side, and we're centered. Yeah, it looks pretty good on that side. And then what happens when we roll around the front? Okay. Almost perfect. I just need to trim a little bit off of there. And that's because I didn't consider the shape of the grip as it goes around the corner. Okay, so there we go. Again, I hope you can see that. Now, my grip is not quite meeting up. There's a little, 1/16 of an inch gap. I'm okay with that. Okay. Once we've carefully wrapped everything around, we just kind of want to press things down a little bit. And then for the rubber, especially, for the rubber texture, it's very important to warm this. I've got a blow dryer here off camera that I will be using. Okay. Alright, let me just clear stuff out of the way here. Tape and scissors and things I won't be using. Okay, so let's go ahead and heat this up. If you have a heat gun, you can use that. I don't happen to have one. A heat gun might produce temperatures in excess of what you want to use. You want to warm this. You want to make sure you don't overheat it and melt it. So, or your girlfriend or wife's hair dryer. That's a good idea. And we'll go ahead and get started on that. I see an area here where it's not stuck down. And then as you start to warm it, I think you can see that it really starts taking on the contours of the grip. So we'll continue to do this. This is a good start though. Okay, and then every once in a while you want to stop and press that down. I'm going to see if I can use the fact that it's a little warm to kind of stretch this around and close up the gap here. Okay, and one of the best ways to do this is to actually grip the firearm as you normally would. That tends to help. Because there are such pronounced contours on the grip here, just go ahead and press everything down there. Looking at the back strap, that looks to be pretty well centered, okay, which is nice. If you remember, the other Talon grip video I've done so far was on the SD40VE, a Smith & Wesson, with the granulate grip, and it did not center so well in the back. Anyway, I'm going to do a little more heating. Yeah, it's pretty warm. And that's what you're going for, is warm. You're not going for hot. You're not trying to melt melt the grip or anything. And like I said, you can see when you've actually, when you've been successful in heating it, because you can get it to snug down into the contours here. Okay. Alright, so that looks to be pretty much it. I'll go ahead and reassemble the firearm. And remember, this is basically the same firearm as the Ruger LC9, so if you're doing one on the LC9, it'll be pretty much the same. Okay. One thing is this does have a magazine disconnect, so I'm going to partially put in the magazine and then withdraw it again so that I know I don't have one in the chamber. The loaded chamber indicator is down. Snap the trigger. Okay. Okay, so there we have a Ruger LC380 with the installation of a rubber textured Talon grip. Just to cover the process again really quickly, first step is to field strip the firearm, make sure it's unloaded, field strip it. You may want to do at that point you might want to do your test fit to see that it fits. Once you've decided if you're going to trim any material off, the second step is to, using rubbing alcohol only, clean the area where the grip is going to be applied. Okay. Once you've cleaned the frame of the firearm where the grip is going to be applied, you want to start peeling the backing. You want to start on the left side of the gun, line up the leading edge of the grip and the part that runs along the magazine well. If those two areas are lined up and your Ruger emblem is showing correctly, it's pretty well centered, you can start peeling off the backing and wrapping this around. When you get to the back strap, you want to see that it's centered. This one's actually pretty good. When you roll onto the next side, again, you want to see if now here's an area where I think we could have done a little better. This probably should have come forward about 1/16 of an inch. The Ruger emblem is fairly well centered, and then you want to keep on rolling around. And if you decide not to trim it and you allow there to be overlap, you want to tuck the overlapping portion under this first area that you applied. Okay, After you've done this lightly, then you want to work with some sort of a heat source. You want to warm the grip, not heat it, not make it hot, but make it warm. And when it's warm, you want to firmly press the grip down into all the various contours in the grip area. Okay, so that's pretty simple. That's really all there is to it. For a carry gun, of course, we do recommend the rubber texture. If you have a firearm that is going to be a range gun only, you know, something that you're never going to carry, the granulate grip is very aggressive. It provides a really good grip. However, you know, you want to, like I said, you want to be sure that you're not going to end up carrying that firearm. So I think for general purpose, the rubber texture is probably the way to go. Anyway, I love these things. Just a disclaimer, I'm not associated with Talon gun grips in any way. I am a satisfied customer. This is about the 5th grip or so that I've bought and applied from them, and I would highly recommend it. Looks like I blew the, the sticker off here, off my work area, but just in case you want to get a hold of Talon grips yourself, they are Talon grips at www.talongungrips.com, and I advise you to check them out. So that's the how to install the Talon grip on the Ruger LC380. Thank you for looking in on me. Actually, guys, I did want to just interject one thing here, and that's the tools that I gathered to put this together. Should have covered that first. We did cover them, but let's just go through it one more time. Isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol for cleaning, a brush, something that you can use to get in the nooks and crannies on the grip and clean that. As I mentioned, Talon does provide you 70% isopropyl alcohol prep pads. Probably worth $1 or $2 to go ahead and get a bottle of your own. Scissors of various sizes if you want to trim your grip so that there's no overlap. Some kind of a cloth to dry the rubbing alcohol. You can let it air dry, of course, but you know, since we're on film, I didn't want to waste that time, and you know, I recommend a microfiber cloth. We also had some Scotch tape that we used. That was to temporarily hold the grip in place while we test fit it. And of course, a heat gun or a blow dryer or some kind of heat source. If you're using an actual heat gun, just make sure you keep the heat low so that you don't actually damage the grip. Okay, and that should cover the materials you need. Oh, well, you need the grip, and you do need the firearm as well. Guess that should have been obvious.